almost immediately after you suffer a cut, your body reacts by initiating a series of events that happen one after another until the bleeding stops. Hemostasis is a term used to describe the stoppage of bleeding. Now, this is an easy term to recall if you remember that heme is the Greek word for blood and stasis is the Greek word for halt. So hemostasis can be literally thought of as the halting of blood or the stoppage of bleeding. This series of events depends on specific proteins called clotting factors. Clotting factors are substances in your blood that act in sequence to stop bleeding by forming a clot. Now, there are many clotting factors, and they often interact with each other. Many of them are named using Roman numerals, such as factor 12, factor 11, factor 10, and so on, while others go by more common names, such as fibrinogen, or prothrombin, or tissue factor. And we'll learn more about these clotting factors later in the lesson. Now, these clotting factors depend on vitamin K to function properly. Vitamin K is required for the synthesis of clotting factors, and it's so important to the blood clotting process that it sometimes goes by the nickname the clotting vitamin. Without it, you could experience excessive bleeding, and so vitamin K is important to get in your diet, and it's found in such foods as green leafy vegetables and broccoli, cauliflower, cabbage, so there's another good reason for you to eat your vegetables. Now, when a blood vessel wall is damaged, collagen fibers from within the wall are exposed, and these exposed fibers become a place for platelets to cling to. Now, platelets are irregular shaped bodies that help the clotting process by sticking to the lining of the blood vessels. Now, these odd-shaped fragments of cells are normally found floating around your blood along with your red blood cells, kind of minding their own business. But when the cells that line the blood vessels get injured, they release chemicals that cause the platelets to kick into action and become sticky. And what we see is layer upon layer of platelets laying down over the wound, somewhat like dirty plates piling up in a sink. Platelets are like the first responder to a site of an emergency, but platelets can't plug the hole alone. They need some help. This is where we start to see some of the clotting factors that we talked about earlier. And one in particular, called fibrinogen, is an inactive clotting factor that helps bind the platelets to form a clot. These